What's up, ladies?
What's
Hey.
up?
Don't make this awkward.
You made it awkward by saying ladies.
I mean, touche, I guess. Episode 1. Super excited. Thank you both for being part of this. Tess is on this venture with me. Tess, say hi.
Hi.
Who are you? What do you do?
My name is Tessa. I do prevention work in the recovery space about a year now. I'm not in recovery myself, but I'm an ally, and I work for Seed Sower.
Yeah, and Tessa is also going to have a really awesome wedding this year. I'm
Woo!
excited.
Yeah, I'm getting married this September. Very stressed, very excited. It's all right.
And this gym right beside Tess is...
I'm Jessica. I'm a PRSS at Seed Sower at the Mom and Baby House in Montgomery.
What's a PRSS?
A peer recovery support specialist.
Hey, man, I tell people all the time it's peer recovery support, not peer recovery do for. Right?
Yes.
I think it's very important in every field, but especially in our field, boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Cool stuff. Totally off subject.
Right.
Totally off subject. I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Y'all ready?
Okay.
AI.
So AI is taking over the world.
Is it? I mean, that's a
Yes.
solid question. I asked that because it's like part of my everyday life now.
Yeah, we know.
Is AI? Don't judge me. I feel your judgment. Is AI taking our jobs? Or
I
is it
do
going to?
believe that AI eventually will take our jobs.
Do you? Why do you
Yep.
think that?
Well, because it's already taken every aspect of our life. You could get on Facebook, you could get on TikTok, you could watch videos and not even realize that you're watching a fabricated video that's
Yeah.
fabricated from AI.
They draw me in so bad.
It's getting
Yes.
so hard to tell the difference.
I love
It
them.
is
Scary.
I love
It
them
is.
underwater videos. It's like a crazy creature. You think it's going to be like a mythical dinosaur or something, and it's just like, it's AI.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It kills me.
it
What-
is. It's scary.
I don't think AI is going to take our jobs.
I think that there are some jobs that require so much like specificity and empathy that it would be very difficult for AI to take.
I think you're onto something. I don't think AI is going to take our jobs. However, the person that will take your job is who knows how to use AI the best.
Oh,
I can see that. I mean, it's
Literally.
definitely a tool that can help you exceed in your job.
There's
I see that.
so many of them.
But man, I'm getting so sick and tired of the reliance on AI.
yes.
I mean,
Listen, I was in the barbershop this past weekend, and I know it doesn't look like it quite yet, but I was in the barbershop this past weekend, and we were having this conversation about AI, and I was saying that we had an individual that we work with, client-wise, obviously won't put names out there, anything like that, but they became codependent on AI. They were in an actual relationship with AI.
wow.
wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I thought that my reaction was going to be, wow, that's insane, right? He was like, well, actually, of course, my ears perked up. The dude said that his copay for counseling was getting too expensive. So he hopped on ChatGPT and was straight up just asking him questions. Hey, I'm going through this. My wife's saying these things. And it was a counselor for him, a legit counselor. And he recommends it to his friends. Hey, if you can't see somebody, you need to talk to somebody.
So with that being said,
Okay, here we go.
I do have an app on my phone that is a counseling app. It's called Honesty. And after you put like your nightly inventory on there of the day and everything, talking about your issues and all this, AI does give you feedback. And then you're able to answer AI's feedback and then get more feedback out of that. So that you
wow.
see the areas where you have to work on, like overthinking, overstimulation, relationship issues. But is it relationship issues or is it a you issue?
Yeah.
Self-will. And AI will definitely tell me that I'm in myself.
You mentioned something about AI the other day, about the counseling portion of it.
Yeah, so a lot of counseling, a lot of social work, a lot of anything that you're talking one-on-one to a client, it's very, you give me a story, I summarize it, and I say it back to you. And what that does is it gives a different perspective, even though it's your details. And AI has gotten so good at summarizing what you give it and giving it back in a different way that feels new.
I call ChatGPT my girlfriend. I mean, I feel like she knows my personality. She gets me. She understands me.
Yeah.
She's funny sometimes.
And I mean, and to an extent, I can see how AI can be helpful in just getting a different perspective immediately. And like you're saying with that app, like maybe that there's something to that. Just having like a back and forth conversation with something, and not necessarily human, but something that's going to give you feedback in return.
Yeah.
So,
You mentioned social media, and like, of course, AI is a part of our everyday life.
mhm.
Social media is part of our everyday life.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that 100 years ago when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, Tessa, you're much younger than us. Tell us about your experience with social media as a kid coming up.
Oh man, my parents didn't know much of anything about social media. I think they had Facebook.
Right.
I had no safeguards when it came to social media, when it came to the internet. I was born on the internet. It feels like I remember being very young and having full free range.
Mhm.
And I think that affected me in a negative way, for sure. Growing up, I learned a lot about comparing myself to others,
Right.
which we all do now with social media.
Yeah.
But seeing that in such a formative time in your life is damaging, for
I
sure.
agree.
Yeah, comparison's the
Yeah.
thief of joy, for real.
Oh,
It's a
absolutely.
famous quote. I have no clue who said it, but that is gospel.
Yeah,
It
it
truly
definitely
is.
is.
Now, Jess, we're just progressing down the line here, okay?
Mhm.
So we go from a younger perspective, a little bit younger perspective. When I mean younger than me, because I'm ancient.
Mhm.
Tell us about your experience with AI, and also, if you don't mind, your experience coming back into the world. I'll let you tell the world what we're talking about with that, and coming back to social media, coming back to what normalcy is deemed in your recovery journey.
So social media wasn't really a thing growing up for me. It become more of a thing in my early 20s, and it was, of course, MySpace. You know, and MySpace, you put up like all the mudding pictures, and everybody talking about like all this fun stuff that you're doing, and you really didn't have much of. Well, I didn't experience much of a comparison because you didn't have the reels. You didn't have like women on there twerking and stuff and making the other women feel less than. You didn't have like all these reels about relationship drama and the reels that pop up about, oh, is he cheating or is she having an affair? This is how you find out. Yeah. So in our minds, like these new things that has come about on Facebook and TikTok is very damaging to someone that already has a traumatic past. And it could be more damaging if you continue to watch them.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny you say that about the reels and the shorts. We didn't have that. No. Especially on MySpace. Listen, those MySpace days, I remember there was small beefs like, who's your top 8 friends? Because you can actually put who your top 8 friends was. Right? Yeah. You ranked your people. Yeah. But I do miss like those old school music videos.
Yeah, where you could put the picture on there and have the music going and all that. Yeah.
But fun stuff. One thing that draws it is so addictive. And coming from a person with an addictive personality, those short stories, those the dramatizations or the billionaire funds, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't know she's a billionaire or something like that. Yeah. They draw me in, they keep me, and I'll download the app. It'll sucker me in. I do my best. I'm not saying I never have. I do my best not to purchase like the stars get more. Yeah. But I watch the ads. Yeah. And then that goes down the rabbit hole. And I got this farm game I want to play now or something like that. It constantly draws me in. I can only imagine what my kid goes through. Oh yeah. Especially what you was talking about having no safeguards and stuff. As a father of 2 daughters, it is terrifying to me. Yeah. Absolutely. So what are your thoughts about kids and social media? Should kids have social media?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so either. I've seen a lot of research into what you're talking about, that short form content, and it's destroying attention spans and like
brain rot.
Kids can't handle being bored anymore, and they don't know how to regulate their feelings anymore, regulate not having something constantly entertain them. And not only that, but like we were talking about, like it's just their kids have no business being perceived by the world in that way.
Absolutely.
And so I think at least like 16 maybe.
Yeah.
16?
What age do you think?
I say about like I want to say about 15, 16. And my reason in this is that social media has so much influence and there is so much bullying.
Yes.
And when children start to compare themselves with sometimes grown adults and other children, it can be very damaging.
Yeah.
Not only to their self-worth, but to many aspects of their life, because they're sitting here seeing, oh, well, this reel is about mom and dad. Like, everything's perfect, everything's fine and dandy.
Yeah.
And in all reality, life isn't like that.
No.
Like, what we see on people's posts is not the reality of their life. That's just what they want the world to see.
That's right. Yeah.
So you're getting this misguided information that life is always easy. Life is all about smiles. Life is all about celebration, when life really has its ups and downs. And you have to learn how to navigate that. But when you're told that life is a certain way, then you start comparing your own life to it. And then that's when you start getting depressed. That's when you start comparing yourself. And then you start thinking that your life is horrible. And then you get in that negative aspect.
Exactly. People will only let you see what they want you to see.
Exactly.
And like you said, that's just not how life is.
No, that's
we
not
get
reality.
the perfect screenshot of someone's life.
Yeah.
You know, we'll see people that will post up beside a nice car and take pictures and stuff like it's theirs, you know?
Yeah.
Once again, comparison is the thief of joy. I can only imagine being a young teenager, you know, envious of those things. So I'm older than both of y'all, and we didn't have social media growing up. I remember when MySpace came along. In fact, when Facebook came along, my first Facebook account was only for college students. I had to have a college email to have Facebook. So I was going to go to Concord University to play football. Shout out Lines. And I used my Concord email to get that. And once again, there wasn't a bunch of shorts, a bunch of reels. It was very plain at the time, but it was interesting because one thing they did have, it would have like you can look up your university and you can see the dorm's room number and give them a call. So we'd call the girls all night long and they call back. And it was cool, but it was an innocent back and forth, if you will. I mean, obviously we're young and hormones are raging and stuff and college students, but it was a lot more innocent than what we see now.
Yeah.
And I worry about that. Not even just with social media. Like you see these videos about predators, you know, on Roblox, chatting with you. And my kid came to me last night with Roblox, and I was like, "Look, there's a message." I was like, "We're uninstalling now. Done with it." She was devastated, and I felt bad, but that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So I seen a video actually on TikTok of a police investigation. This man, he was investigated for preying on children through Roblox, but it also started with Snapchat. And then so Snapchat, Roblox, like these things that our children looks at as innocent because it's fun to them. Doing the filters, making the funny faces, getting on Roblox, building trends. Houses, you know, building a little community. Like those things look fun. But in all reality, there is sick people out there using these innocent programs to make it into something that it should not be.
Absolutely. It's scary. You mentioned age restrictions and stuff. And we talked about should kids have the ability to have social media. And there's some restrictions across the world. So it says right here that Australia, as of last year, 2025, restricted it to 16. France, 15. Spain, 14 to 16. I'm not sure what that really means. If you don't, is there really a law there? They don't have a hard deadline, but it says Spain. Let me correct myself. Spain has raised the age of consent for creating social media accounts from 14 to 16. So that's what it was.
Yeah. Another thing you got to think about is like, of course, you'll say that there are these guidelines. And when I was younger, Facebook was the same way. It was like, you can't make an account unless your birthday is like above a certain age. I was born in 2004 and my Facebook bio said that I was born in like 1988 for years. Like if you're going to have a safeguard in place, there's got to be a way to enforce it and not just, well, I'll just make it to where I look a little bit older.
Yes.
And so that's another thing to think about.
This is interesting. I just mentioned multiple countries. Youngest 15 years old. Spain, once again, went from 14 to 16. The United States has the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, COPA, if you will, which has been updated last year in 2025, now includes biometric identifiers and government-issued identifiers in its scope, requiring age verification for users. What age do you think that is?
Probably like 11 or 12.
Probably.
13.
Yes,
Wow.
that's
And
ridiculous.
it's still very young.
Yeah.
Still very young.
Yeah. So young.
No one's of any maturity at that point.
No.
You know, we know that the brain is not fully developed until
Yeah.
25
Yeah.
or after 25. But 13 to see the things, take religion, politics out of the equation. You just mentioned the emotional, as far as like comparing yourself to somebody, wanting these things, the bullying, you know, the predatory stuff. Just those things alone should be enough to shut that down.
So let's not look at that for a second and look at the educational aspect.
The positive?
No, like, so it takes away from the education.
Yeah.
It takes away from their study time.
Mhm.
Like, I could remember whenever I was younger, like, social media wasn't a thing. So when I come home from school, we played a little bit, and then, like, and that's the thing, kids don't play anymore.
Mm-mm.
The
You know?
socialization aspect, I think, is probably
Yes,
one of the
like,
most
they
hurtful
don't
things.
play
Mhm.
with each other. They don't socialize. They don't normally go outside very often because, and if they do, they got a cell phone in their hand.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
they're documenting every aspect of their day, which is very dangerous also. Can I just say that is just it's just putting a red dot on a child for a predator,
Mhm.
you know? But, and not just predators, but for criminals.
Yeah.
You know, someone want to kidnap a child for sex trade or just to kidnap a child for ransom. Guess what? They know that kid's life.
Yeah.
They know where he's going to be at this time because it's always documented. But it takes away from the educational aspect of it. They're not giving themselves time to study. They're not thinking about like their education. They're thinking about, okay, wonder what's going on social media right now.
Yeah. Definitely.
How many likes do I have?
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, we were just talking about it as adults a minute ago about
Yeah.
likes and stuff. Yeah. And you mentioned for like sex trafficking and stuff. I know we're in the hills and the hollers of West Virginia, and
Mhm.
the only state fully in the mountain range. We have it here.
Oh,
We
yeah.
definitely have it
Kids
here.
are missing. Families are going without, not hearing from their children ever again. You see the posters everywhere and stuff. It's here. It's all over the United States, but it's definitely here.
Yes.
Not to completely change the subject, but stay in West Virginia. Me
Mhm.
and you, Jess, are people in long-term recovery.
Yes.
Tess works with us.
Yes.
She is not a person in recovery.
No.
She is a very strong ally.
Thank you.
What is your perception of recovery in West Virginia in particular, since you've been in the space especially?
Oh man. So something that it's going to be hard for me to talk about is that I do have a good idea of what the recovery landscape looks like here. I don't in other places. And so that's definitely a disparity there in my knowledge. But I will say in West Virginia, just recovery in general has gone very differently than my expectations were. So when I started with Seed Stower, I had no idea what the company was. I saw them on my college campus right next door. I saw their vans running around and I said, do they sell seeds? I don't
We get that all the time. We're
I
not
know.
farmers.
And that's what I genuinely thought. I was like, I don't know what these vans, these white vans are running around campus. I don't know. But when I started here, I even had the thing of the misconception of what you do is you go around and you say, hey, you want to go to treatment? And that's not what it is.
Amen.
No.
I learned through outreach, especially going with Mike around. Mike is our outreach coordinator.
Shout out Mike Bone.
You're enough. Going around with him, and I'm sure, and you went around with him for a long time too.
Yes.
What I saw was not him going say, okay, are you ready to go to treatment? It's building that trust and that relationship.
Come on.
And that is so big in recovery. And I had no idea that that's even where it started. And so that's been a big deal to me. And just like, it's just been amazing watching people grow. Even just since I've been here, I've seen people graduate. I've seen people get jobs. I've seen people get vehicles, driver's licenses, birth certificates,
Get their
social
kids
security
back.
card, get their kids back. Like, I've seen so much. And it is just, and even as someone not in recovery, it is just the most heartwarming thing and most fulfilling thing you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
Genuinely. And so, yeah, my opinions on recovery are different now. I had family who struggled with substance use and close family. And for a long time, I placed the blame on them completely. And working here and understanding the facts behind it, I now see it more as a disease and something that is not to place full blame on. And so that was definitely a big thing, and that helped me in my own life and curing, per se, my own resentments towards people that I had,
That's awesome.
close people. And so yeah, it's been crazy but fun.
I love how you put that. I mean, at the end of the day, let's take recovery, addiction, mental health, whatever that issue is out of the way. You know, love people.
Yeah,
I'm,
absolutely.
Just love on people, treat people as humans. One of the craziest things, I was working in the field for a couple of years at this point, and we were walking down just downtown Beckley, down on Main Street, and seen an individual and stopped him, obviously in hopes that we could spark a conversation about getting some help or something like that. But I didn't bring that up, and we just, hey, how you doing? I see you walk down here a few times. What's your name? And learn this guy's name, learn that he was a vet, learn that he was unsheltered. He was not willing to get treatment that day, but was open-minded to it. Eventually, months down the road, and that's where these things happen. These conversations start now, but months down the road, they pop up, and I'm ready to get help now because we built that rapport, we built that trust.
Yeah.
But one of the most eye-opening things was I went to go shake his hand. He was like, "Are you sure? I'm dirty. I haven't showered in a few days."
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Like I get that. Treat people as people, and I love that. That's what you got from it. Sounds like, if I'm recalling it.
Definitely. I mean, just like so many people struggling, you see them on the street, and they do that. They say I'm dirty. They say like, "Oh, you don't want to touch me. You don't want to hug me." Right. And it's like, who am I to deprive you of such a simple thing as a handshake?
Right.
Like it doesn't. Yeah, like it doesn't matter, and like. You're not subhuman.
No.
But they're made to feel that way.
Their circumstances doesn't define who they are.
No.
It didn't define who I was. It doesn't define you, whatever your struggles may be, because we all have struggles, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely. I mean, just love on people and treat them as people. And that goes a long way. That little bit there, just treating someone as I keep saying normal, whatever that is, but just treating someone with respect goes further than any literature you're going to give them. Any questions you're going to ask them when you want to go to treatment, like anything like that. We might have transportation, we might have Narcan to give them, hygiene stuff, and yes, we'll give those things away. But that amount of respect that you're showing that person, that's going to go further than any item that you can actually give them. Because eventually, and we have evidence, we collect all this data and stuff. We have evidence saying that eventually they come back. And I tell you guys all the time, I tell Mike this all the time, and I think we do a fantastic job at it. Consistency. Just show up, whether it's one person going to be there or 20 people going to be there, or if no one shows up. But if they know that we are going to be at this spot today and on a regular basis, and we continue showing up, eventually someone's going to come.
Yeah.
Consistency is the name of the game.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
As Mike says, where the rubber hits the road, right?
Yes.
That's right. So Jess,
yes,
you have a completely different perspective. Maybe some of the same things, but your experience is definitely completely different. And it's your story to tell, and I would love for you to share it with the world.
Okay, so my addiction started when I was 11 years old. And, back then, you didn't really know anything about treatment. Like, treatment wasn't a thing. I was 11 years old, was breaking some laws and everything, got caught in a meth lab. And instead of them trying to get me help, they actually put me in a mental institution. To wait on a bed to open up, or transportation. I'm not really sure what the wait was for, or maybe even an evaluation for juvenile detention center. After being in juvenile detention center for a couple years, then they sent me to another mental hospital because it wasn't normal, and instead of getting to the root of it, they wanted to pound me with medication, zombify me. And they didn't know how to treat a child that was suffering with substance abuse. So, fast forward a little bit, I got out of juvie and out of the mental institution and out of a behavioral housing development. I was then clean for several years. But still yet, I never got to the root of it because it wasn't a thing back then.
Right.
Like, there was no help. You would go to meetings. I did go to a couple NA meetings. But outside of that NA meeting was a drug dealer standing, literally waiting for the newcomers to come out of the meeting. So I ended up I got married and all this stuff, moved to Georgia. And that I want to touch base on that a little bit because, yes, recovery in West Virginia has definitely improved. Definitely improved. But down in the state of Georgia in 2012 and 13, like their recovery down there was huge. Like,
Wow.
and I wasn't used to that.
Yeah.
You know, I was used to being up here, being behind a little church, you know, a little fire pit and a dope man standing outside the gate,
Yeah.
you know. But down there, it was like they were like mother hens. They flocked over their newcomers
Wow.
and they protected them. Like, if they felt like anybody was shady around there, then they would tell them to either leave or walk inside to get the message, you know. And the meetings were very large. Like, I'm talking like 100, 200 people, sometimes even more. Come back to West Virginia, and like I had a relapse. You know, I had a relapse, and that relapse took me down to a very dark and scary place. almost 10 years of a relapse, in and out of prison, 3 incarcerations, 2 prison. On my last bid, I was introduced to a program called RSAT inside of the prison walls. And was I ready for that? No. I just wanted a golden ticket home. You know, I didn't care to get help because I thought that that's what my life was consist of.
Yeah.
That's what I was good at, was getting high and not having to face life. So I done this program and I graduated and I started to develop like this self-awareness and wanting to work on myself, wanting to see the things that I could change. And then after RSAT, I ended up coming to Seed Sower. And Seed Sower was a turning point in my life.
Remember the day you showed up.
Yeah. I was, the day I showed up, I was like, man, I don't know about this, you know? But there was so much love and compassion. And I never experienced that because I never had treatment before, other than inside of prison walls. And, you know, the treatment inside prison walls looks a lot different than treatment on the streets.
Amen.
And like the treatment on the streets, there's so much love and compassion. And you learn to get involved. You learn what service work is. You learn how to do your step work. And you learn to love yourself and you learn to love others around you. And then, you know, like working in the field. I always knew that I had, like, once I got in recovery and stuff, I knew that I had compassion for it. I knew that that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
And so I started working with Mike Bone at Seed Sower doing outreach. And at first I would just sit back and I'd watch how he interacted with people. And then I realized that it wasn't something that you have to train for. It's something that comes natural. Because if you've been in the situation, even if you haven't been in the situation, it's the golden rule. How would you want someone to treat you?
Exactly.
Regardless of your situation. So there was times where, you know, unhoused people were struggling and they didn't want to open up. We were going to Wyoming County. Wyoming County, like, they did not trust us.
Yeah.
They did not want us there because they were so used to people saying they're going to help and then never showing back up.
Yeah.
So it took us a while to establish that relationship with them. But once we did, we found ourselves up underneath the bridge eating crackers, you know, and sitting here taking people to treatment that said that they would never go because they didn't feel like they were worthy of it. They didn't want to waste space for someone else, which is crazy because that's where our minds get in addiction. We think that we are nothing but a waste of space.
Yeah.
But in all reality, we all deserve to live.
Yeah.
Amen.
We all deserve a
Absolutely.
place on this earth.
That is the name of the game. Keep people alive long enough till it finally clicks. I can't make it click for anybody. Listen, I'm 350 pounds. I could bench press a Buick, but I can't make it click for you.
Yeah.
And I tell Jess, you can test this. When you first came on as a peer recovery support specialist, I teach everybody this. I tell them about this video that I've seen, and I wish I could find the video. If you have this video, put it in the comments when we post this. But I mean, it's a little boy and a little dog walking down a dirt road. You remember this video? Let's share this. So there's a little boy and a dog walking down a dirt road. Little boy has a stick, and dog just walking beside him, and just doing kid things, playing with the stick and stuff. And then the little boy sees a mud hole, and he goes back and he second guesses it at first, but he goes back and starts playing in the mud hole. The dog stops. He doesn't go in the mud hole with the boy and play and get dirty or anything. He doesn't try to pull the boy away from the mud hole, but he doesn't leave the boy either. And when the little boy's done playing in the mud hole, he walks beside the dog. They kind of look at each other and keep it moving. We have to be just like that dog. We definitely can't go play in the mud and get dirty with him again. We have our own recovery to focus on. If we're not well, we can't help people get well.
Yes.
But we can't pull them away from the mud hole. Once again, it has to click. And that's the name of the game. Let that finally click for them and walk with them. I tell people all the time, I will not drag your ass. I can't drag your ass, but I will walk with you every step of the way. And like that dog, when the little boy was done playing in the mud, he came beside him. They continued at the same pace together. And that's what we do. We love on people. We're going to treat them with respect. And when they're ready, we're here.
Yeah. So I'm going to mention, because that story reminds me of a client that when I first started doing outreach, this young man, he was a wrecking ball. All right. He had come in, we'd be giving out like food and stuff like that. And he'd like come and just take a whole handful of Nutty Buddies and just take off, And there's been times that he has stole off of us as, individuals and everything. And, you see him get incarcerated, you see him get out of incarceration, but we kept showing up for him. We kept giving him services, even though he was doing things against us as a company, like to try to, like most people would get resentments and be like, no, I'm not messing with you no more. But we did not give up on him as an individual. And so it was 3 months ago, I went to a meeting and I seen this individual pick up his 1 month chip.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Let's go.
And then
Wow.
recently I seen him pick up his 3 month chip.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about.
And
That's
so
amazing.
this
Yeah.
individual, like I see him interacting with people like after the meeting, like, and he it's the change.
Yeah.
It's the psychological change that comes from knowing that someone's not going to give up on you.
Absolutely.
It's the love. It's everything that we do, that we are taught to do, and that we know to do.
Yeah.
That keeps people coming back.
And us as a society, we lose that.
We do. We
lose that
lose
quick.
sight in it,
Yeah.
and we become selfish.
So let's speak about that for a second.
Yeah.
We're talking about recovery here in West Virginia. Okay. You talk about Georgia, how it's completely different there. It's loving. And I think the biggest part of my personal recovery that's helped me the most is community.
Yes.
Without you guys, without the community as a whole, I wouldn't be here today. My support circle looks completely different today than it did 3 years ago. It looks completely different today than it did 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And it continues to evolve. But I have that common ground where community comes. I need community. I need connections. So the difference between like what public images of recovery today, especially here where we are in Southern West Virginia, what's the difference that you see now? Do you see a change? Do you see it growing in a positive direction? Or is it still kind of staying the same for as public image of folks in recovery? And what is it day to day, that image?
Tessa?
That's a big question.
That's a loaded question.
It
Yeah,
is
yeah.
because I haven't been here for long. I've only been here around a year, but even in that year, I have seen things change, and not only in the recovery landscape, but also just like what's happening in the field of drug use and substance use. And even when I started, we were all talking about fentanyl, and all that was the big thing, and it's still such a big concern.
Right.
But I've seen it shift. I've seen more substances come out. We see a lot of xylazine now. There's the new one that's used as a vet tranquilizer that was huge for a second,
Right.
but now it's kind of phased out. And you see those changes, and you adapt with your services as they come along. And that's the biggest thing I've seen change, is just being adaptable and what's to come, and providing services that you may not have had to provide 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And as far as like the recovery community stands, I see individual organizations growing. and I see them expanding their services. But what I don't see is them coming together.
Come on, I'm about to
Yes.
preach.
And
Yes.
amen. But yeah, I don't see that, and we see that firsthand. I'm sure every day we reach out and say, "Hey, this would be so cool if we could work on this together," or like if you could just reach out when someone I sent to you gets out of your program. Tell me how they're doing.
Yeah.
Bring them to me. Bring them to anywhere, but let me know. And we don't get that love back.
No, there's so many great
Yeah.
organizations across our state,
Mhm.
and we have the great state of West, by God. I mean, I say that proudly.
Amen.
You know, there's so many great organizations across our state. However, when we are not connecting properly, there's so many gaps, and people fall through those.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
you said, those different connections and stuff. One of my mentors told me early on that everyone's jockeying for a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
But if people got the head out of their ass, we can come together and make a bigger pie.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
this is not a money thing. There's more than enough people out there dying to help everyone.
Well,
If
and
you're-
once
if-
again, this is the comparison thing too.
Mhm.
Like people are struggling with comparing their program with another program and wanting to compete programs
Yeah.
instead of
Definitely.
just wanting to help someone.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I love about what I do here is I don't have to connect someone to one program.
Mhm.
My job is to make sure I get them to the program that fits their need the best.
Yeah.
You see, recovery, and we talk about this all the time. I'm preaching to the choir right now, but for everyone or for people who maybe not understand, recovery is not linear. For
Mhm.
some of us, it starts in prison.
Yeah.
It starts coming to an organization and learning from the bottom up. It
Mhm.
starts going to treatment. But some people, they might quit cold turkey. There's no starting point that you have to start here and then go to point A to point B.
Mhm.
Recovery is not linear, and it's not cookie cutter. It's not a one size fit all.
No.
What I did to get clean is completely different from what Jess did to get clean.
Mhm.
It's completely different from what somebody else may do. It might be the exact same, but it's not one size fit all. We can't say who it is. So I pride myself and our team. I'm so proud of how our team handles these things, because as we build those relationships, we get to identify what they actually need.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If someone needs some medical attention, I can't send them straight to sober living by no means. If
Yeah.
someone needs detox, we can't send them straight to sober living.
Mhm.
Maybe they're not ready for sober living, but whatever that fit, whatever they need at the moment, that we can start connecting to those resources. That's what an RCO is. It's a
Yeah.
conduit to get them connected to those
It's
set resources.
networking.
It's all about
Yeah.
networking.
It's all about networking.
We're about to have a recovery prom.
Yeah.
May 23rd. Everyone's going to be there for exception of Tess, because she has to go get married apparently.
So, no, I'm not getting married. I'm being a bachelorette. Okay.
Okay. I'm not mad at it. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Shout out to Jackson. Awesome dude.
Yes.
But May 23rd, we're going to have the first ever recovery prom here in Southern West Virginia at the Tamarack. I am proud to announce today that we have fundraised. Well, I don't know if you call it fundraising. We can edit that out. But I'm proud to announce that today we have raised $7,000 for this prom.
Wow. That is
Wow.
awesome.
Last night, we had an organization donate $1,000 towards this recovery prom. Of all these organizations, that is the first organization that is a recovery organization, a recovery-oriented organization that has donated. I think that says a lot to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about coming together, but people start siloing and don't come together. This recovery prom is not a, hey, look at me. It's not a, hey, look at Justin Rogers. It's not a, hey, look at Seed Sower. It's, let's come together and recover the right way. And the only way I can say there's the right way is together.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's about celebration. It's about restoration. It's about families. Without recovery, I wouldn't have my daughter in my life. And without recovery, I wouldn't be blessed with a second daughter who's never seen daddy in active addiction. And Lord willing, the creek don't rise, she never will.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's right.
But it just baffles me that we're asking, for any assistance whatsoever, because I know organizationally that we have helped or have donated multiple events for different recovery organizations,
Yeah.
multiple times across
Yeah.
the state, not just here in Southern West Virginia, but across the state. We've donated to sponsor a conference, smaller conferences, of course, but different programs, different recovery housing. And we're asking for the same here and not getting that same love back because it's, they're doing too much, or, we're not in this. And we've asked people to be part of it.
Mhm.
And once again, if you want to be part of it, just come to it.
Yeah.
We have a committee. We'd love to have more voices on that committee, because this is not a Seed Sower thing. It's not a Justin thing. It's not a Tess or Jess thing. It's about us, community, connection.
It's
So-
about the fellowship.
It's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. at this prom, we're going to focus on the family. We're going to have a mommy and me and a daddy and me dance. I think that is so powerful. What is more powerful than having a second chance prom? Once again, I keep saying recovery prom, but this is not about recovery. Once it's about community, right?
Mhm.
See, even if you're not in recovery, you can still come to this.
Yeah.
I think there's beauty in that. I think there's power in having someone who's an ally or not in recovery being in the same room as someone who is in even early recovery, because those stigmas start to be broken
Mhm.
right
Yeah.
there. You know, you can see that it is possible, and you can see that they're not judging you.
Yeah.
And if you can have your children there to see that power, that dynamic, man, how magical is that? Chef's kiss. You know,
Powerful stuff. Yeah.
I'm stoked about it. But yes, so shout out to Recovery Point, West Virginia. They definitely donated towards the cause. They will be bringing, I know, some of the men from one of their homes to the prom. I'm not for sure if everyone is, but everyone's more than welcome. So yeah, I'm excited about that. We've had people from Retro Reset. I'm going to shout out a few sponsors here. Retro Reset, who, they're not a recovery organization. They're a local business, gaming, toys, sports. They do a bunch of cool things. They used to do the wrestling there. Man, I used to miss those wrestlings at the Raleigh County at the Crossroads Mall. Everybody knows my wrestling. But shout out to Retro Reset. We have a bar, Mad Hatters Club, who is sponsoring the prom.
Wow.
Okay.
Now, recovery doesn't look the same for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: is everyone who drinks is an alcoholic?
No.
Is everyone who does drugs a drug addict?
No.
Right. And I think you just came out of recovery dynamics training.
I did.
They talk about the allergen, the allergy.
Mhm.
That's one of the best examples that I feel that addiction has is an allergy,
Mhm.
right? So in saying that, just because I can't go have a drink doesn't mean that someone safely can't go do that.
Yeah.
That bar is perfect. Is a perfect example of
The
that.
owner is in recovery.
Shout out to Stephanie Bragg, a long-term friend of mine, known her
That's
for years.
awesome.
She's doing phenomenal things. She's in recovery herself.
Yes.
We have sent several people to treatment. Our footprint has been on the recovery journey for several people that came out of that bar. I don't know how many times Stephanie has reached out and was like, "Hey, I have someone who's at the bar, is ready to go," or boom, get on the horn, find a bed, get a driver, gone on the treatment.
And that's what it looks like when organizations come together.
Come on, that's what it is right there. That gap is being filled. If a
Yeah.
bar can do it, any behavioral health can do it. A hospital can do it. A sober living can do it. A treatment center can do it. There's no reason there should be those gaps. We should have literally just a full platform with no cracks in the middle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Definitely.
yeah, I'm done with that little tangent there. But shout out to Mad Hatter, shout out to Retro Reset, just to name a few. We got a couple other ones that are on board too. I do want to say one more person, and this is an individual, Daryl Hughes. So when I made the post, let me back up. Let me give you some backstory here. The recovery prom has been a vision of mine for 6 years.
Mhm.
Didn't really have much backing, didn't have funding myself, and I can understand why I didn't have backing from my previous employer. And then, of course, here at CSER, there's a lot of concerns we have to think about, right?
Mhm.
Well, finally, we got Jay on board with it. And he let me plan it. And so we start planning. And one thing I've learned by working alongside Jay is process, SMART goals.
Jay is our
Executive.
executive director.
Yes,
So
yes, Jay Phillips.
shout out Jay Phillips.
Yeah, there we go. Shout out. So I started formulating a process and SMART goals. And then one thing I wanted to focus on was the recovery housing here in Southern West Virginia.
Mhm.
So I went to all the recovery houses. No one was willing to commit to even bring their men and women. I went to the women's homes too. So it's just going to be another event that we were going to put on, and we're going to have 20 seats over residents and maybe one or two people from the community, and that's it. Well, I can't, organizationally, I can't ask someone to invest thousands of dollars into an event where we have 25 people and 20 of those people are people that we house.
Yeah.
Right. And so I thought the idea was dead. I made a video and asked the community to respond. I'm sure y'all remember this video.
I did.
And it was overwhelming. I don't know how many private messages that I got, how many comments there was. I would love to think this is a great idea. And so it got some legs again. It got some traction. Right.
Mhm.
So here we are. And the first person who reached out to me about being a part of the prom, not that I just, hey, I think it's a great idea. I would love to come to it. If you do it, we're going to be there. But the first person who reached out to me and says, I want to be a part of this. What can I do? This is the services that I provide, was Daryl Hughes. Now, Daryl Hughes is not a person in long-term recovery, but he's a photographer. He's a father of 4, great Christian man. His little girl wrestles as well too. Once again, you know me and my wrestling was when I see a little one wrestle, especially a little girl wrestling, that just lights my heart up.
Yes.
Little girls, female wrestling is the largest growing sports in high school right now. Wow. So it's really powerful to watch. But he reached out and is going to be our photographer. So shout out to Daryl. He's the first person that was like, I don't know how I can be a part of this or what your budget is, but I want to work with you.
Wow.
So that's awesome.
Justin, when and where is Recovery Prom?
It is May 23rd at the Tamarack. And it's beautiful we're going to have that Tamarack because that's where the local high schools have their prom at.
Yeah.
So and it's not just, hey, we're going to put second chance people or people who's never went to prom or people in recovery in some little gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's actually where prom is. So we're trying to make it as prom oriented as we possibly can. So it's at the Tamarack in West Virginia off of Harper Road, in West Virginia, in Beckley, off Harper Road at 6:30 on May 23rd.
Nice.
Awesome.
Very excited about that. Very excited to see all the pictures and videos that come from that.
Yeah. We would definitely send them to you since you got to be a bachelorette that day.
Yeah, sorry.
Gotcha. So this kind of shift from the prom. We all have different perspectives of recovery, from our experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
You as Nella, you as a individual in recovery, but especially from reentry, mm-hmm. and me as a call it what it is, as a Black male in Southern West Virginia in long-term recovery. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to like barriers and stuff, we call that stigma. Let's talk about the effects people may have from seeking help. Why do they not seek help at times? When they do seek help, why are they not staying long enough? Are they having a problem finding housing? Are they having a problem finding treatment? What barriers are in the way that you've seen while working in the space or even from your experience of being in the space? I can speak from my personal experiences early on, just call it what it is. I was on my BS. I didn't seek treatment. For me, I wasn't ready yet, right? Mm-hmm. It didn't click like we talked about. But it was my get out of jail free card. I go to this program, a little 90-day program so I don't go to jail. Get the probation officer off my ass, right? Mm-hmm. But finally, when it did click, I did have some barriers. It was hard for me to get from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. Everything in West Virginia might be a 20-minute ride, but if you do not have transportation, that's a 3-hour walk.
Yeah.
If not longer, right?
Definitely.
I didn't have insurance. That was a huge thing, right? But also, like, the stigma of judgment, I guess you'd say, mm-hmm. I felt like it made me look weak. I feel like I was vulnerable. The mask was coming off and they're going to see the real me, which that's what needed to happen. But I struggled with those things. So would y'all like to pinpoint any of your experiences? Let's start with Jess this time.
Yeah. Okay. So with my experience, at first the only barrier that was going on was myself. Like, I didn't want to have to face things about myself, nor did I really want to change at the time. Mm-hmm. But once I started the changing process, then some of my barriers was like people looking at me as a number. Mm-hmm. So I lost my identity as a child, mm-hmm. and then once I become a DOC number, it's like I was just put to the side. Okay, so she's got a problem. Let's not address the issue, the root issue. Mm-hmm. Let's just look at her as a DOC.
Put a Band-Aid over it.
Yeah, because I was a lost cause. And that's what I felt like. But I thank God for the judge that I had, because the judge I had did not let me pull any kind of bullshit. It was like, go straight to prison.
Shout out God and the judge.
Yeah. And then on top of that, like, he gave me a chance when I finally did get into the RSAT program. He gave me a chance. He took the recidivist off of the table because I was willing to try a different life. Mm. So that right there was my turning point. Like, that's whenever I realized that someone actually had hope in me. Mm-hmm. Now, do I think that he kind of thought that he was going to give me enough rope to hang myself? Yes, because he has before.
Absolutely.
And I screwed it up every time. But it also gave me a little bit of time to set on my hands and realize that there is a different life.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I got out of prison and got into the program and stuff, so some of my barriers was my education. So I learned to read and write in prison in 2015.
Really? I did not know that.
Yes. So I was embarrassed, you know. I couldn't read half of the stuff that I was getting from court. And like I had an old lady as a roommate, and I can remember us sitting down with a Bible and a dictionary and her teaching me certain things. And I felt stupid. I kept it to myself, you know. I didn't really talk about it. Once I went to prison, I started working on my GED. Like I said, I went to prison 3 times. So by my 3rd bid, I almost had my GED, you know? And then once I got out to seed sower, like I was pushed. I was pushed to face these barriers that had put so much fear in me that I would just run from it. Like I would avoid certain situations because I didn't want to read. I didn't want to do math. I didn't want to write, you know? I would just avoid it altogether. And that was the first barrier that I was able to overcome. The second barrier I was able to overcome with the help of my peers of letting me see that it's not weak to reach out for mental health. So like I have always looked at it as a weakness, you know, like if nobody's business. It's nobody's business what I'm going through. I can handle my shit on my own. It's my trauma. I could do it by myself. But when I started going out and seeking help for my mental health, then that opened up a whole nother door.
Yeah.
And so there's that barrier, you know, but the thing about barriers is you also have to have maintenance with them. So you can't just overcome the barrier and just leave it there. You have to maintenance through that barrier too. And then here come the license. So Jobs and Hope. A big shout out to Jobs and Hope.
Another great resource. Yeah. I mean, if you do not know what Jobs and Hope is and you live in West Virginia, you need to look that up, jobsandhope.org. That is a phenomenal resource that helps so many people across the state.
Yes.
And they have a phenomenal team. Deb has really lucked. I don't want to say luck. She's put a lot of hard work in, but Deb Harris has a team. I've never been to a county and met a Jobs and Hope TA, transitional agent, that was not helpful. They are phenomenal folks from top to bottom.
Yes. Shout out Stephen Hargett.
Yeah, Steve-O.
Yeah. So Jobs and Hope actually helped me overcome some barriers also. Some barriers like with my license, getting my license back. And then they also, workforce. I worked with workforce a lot. Workforce gave me the tools to know what kind of employment ethics that I needed to have. Like they literally, while I was in the program, sat down and done groups with us once a week to teach us how to be better employees.
Wow.
You know, so there's all these different resources now that we did not have just 3 years ago. You know, just 3 years ago, we did not have certain resources to help us. So barriers are starting to be broken. But the thing about it is you have to reach out. You have to put your pride to the side a little bit and say, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to stigma,
I can't do this myself.
And I fully agree with you. But when it comes to stigma, it boils down to 2 things. Especially here in West Virginia. That's our focus. That's our home, right? But I think, and I say this all the time, Appalachian culture is completely different from anywhere else in the country. We are some stubborn folk.
Yeah, sure. we handle our stuff ourselves.
We are some resentful folk too. But we do come together more than most people. I've been all over. You know, we come together here in West Virginia, in Appalachia, more than anywhere else I've seen in the country, which is phenomenal. But I will say this: if you are from West Virginia and you've never been addicted, or you don't know somebody who's been addicted, then I want to know what rock you've been on under. Yeah. Because there's not one person I've never met who hasn't seen it. You know, it's everywhere.
Well, let's touch on that for a second. So addiction, people just look at it as alcoholism and a drug addiction. No. You could have a food addiction, a sex addiction, a gambling addiction.
Yesterday I was talking with some of the folks here at the RTO, and addiction it's the same demon. But it does have many different faces. This might be a dramatic comparison, but there's really not much difference. Take the criminal out of it, the illegal out of it, because addiction is not criminal also.
No.
You know, a lot of people deem addiction as a criminal thing when really it's medical. We have evidence that it is a disease. We can go down that rabbit hole another time because that is one that I can harp on all day long. But there's not much difference between someone who eats sweets constantly, you know, who is diabetic, who has high cholesterol, who has cardiovascular disease because of those things, and someone who is shooting dope. I know that's a dramatic comparison, but there's no difference there. The person who's shooting dope might seek help and hop on MAT. That is not replacing one drug with another. I don't care what no one says. If he can take a form of MAT and change his life, why is that an issue? Why is that looked down upon?
Why is it controversial?
When little Johnny over here, who can help his diabetes with insulin, and that's not looked down upon.
Yeah.
But we don't say nothing because even though he's still stuffing his face with Debbie's, you know, we don't say nothing about that for real.
Yeah.
That might be a dramatic comparison, but that is the same demon. You know, this heroin addict and this sweet eater is suffering from the same disease, but this one's looked down upon, right? And I know that argument is like, well, naloxone's free, my insulin should be free. You're damn right it should be. I'm with you, bro. That's not an argument either. I feel you. We're not enemies, right? So there's so many different stigmas there. And I want to go back to that for 1 second because it boils down to two things. Stigma is a thing because either A, they don't understand it, right? Once again, you guys are picking up one laying down when I give the examples of someone who is eating junk food constantly and someone who is struggling with a substance, right? We can see those comparisons, but many people cannot see that comparison. They don't understand addiction, or they've been hurt by addiction. And I think we have more of that in West Virginia than anything. You know, we have so many families who have been destroyed. Addiction here has been generational.
Yes,
It's got half my grandfather. It's got half my dad. You know, you see that story is a common thing. That's just regular now, and it's sad that it's became a normal thing when you hear that. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. But if you hear that somewhere else, I shared my story when I was at a NAR conference in Sandusky, Ohio, and someone was like, kind of looked at me like I felt stigmatized for like they weren't stigmatized me. They were shocked that it went that deep in my family. You know, you know. But that's just how it is here, and I think that is something we have to break because the family needs healed too.
Yeah.
You know, just as much as we're trying to heal the person that's recovering from the disease of addiction, the family needs healing too. We didn't burn those bridges overnight.
Right.
You know, and the old cliche, Rome wasn't built in a day. One step at a time. Jess, I've watched your journey since the moment you walked in the seats over. I was there when you came off the bus, for lack of another term.
Yes.
And I've seen you, everything you talked about, your accomplishments. I've seen you grow within yourself. I've seen you become a volunteer and start working with Mike on the mobile unit. And then you start working with me at the Recovery Community Organization. I've seen you get certified as a peer. I've seen you leave and go do work elsewhere. I've seen you come back as a peer at the baby house. Now I see you in college.
Yeah.
And this is if this ain't badass, I don't know what is. You know?
My gosh, please tell them.
Yeah. So Jess, I'm gonna say it for you. Is it cool with you?
Okay.
Not only have I seen this woman grow and have this relationship with her family again, have a relationship with her children again, but I've seen her go to college to be a welder.
Is that not the coolest thing you've ever heard in your life?
And I love this so much for so many different things. But one of my favorite things is like when people come to treatment, it's like, oh, their vibe is, oh yeah, I'm ready to help people again. Until like they realize what that is.
Yeah.
Once again, you're not throwing yourself into the skillet, you're jumping out into the fire. So you continue to overcome those obstacles, but you see like, hey, maybe this is not my field. And you looked into yourself, see what your options was. We've had long conversations about this. She still calls me middle of the night, like, I got a question about this paper. But for you to pick welding, which is a male-dominated field, you know, call it what it is. But you've not just picked it, you're excelling in it. I've seen these welds grow.
Yeah.
That says a lot about who you are. I can't tell you anything about welding.
No, me neither.
You know, I don't know nothing about it. But I've seen your first weld. You showed me a picture.
Ugh.
And that first weld, compared to the last picture that you showed me, you don't need to be a welder to see the progress in that.
Yes.
So it has been awesome to watch your journey, to be, a part of it. And it's stories like yours that truly keep a log in the fire for me.
So a lot of misconception comes when you get into recovery. A lot of people think that, okay, so in order to stay clean, I have to work in recovery.
Yeah.
And that's not always accurate.
Amen.
Like some people, they grow working in recovery. They are meant to work in recovery. And I think I was for a season.
Mhm.
So I think that for a season, I was able to give all the compassion and give back to the community and give back to other people in uh, in the madness, you know. But there's also a time where you like not maybe not everybody, but some of us, like myself, like now I see that I'm done with that.
Mhm.
You know, I still love my girls. I still love what I do, but I also want more. And it's okay to walk outside of the recovery field and to go for a dream bigger than what you've already dreamed up.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
found your
Never
purpose.
stop.
Yeah.
Never stop. That's the great part about recovery
Mhm.
is that you're able to find a fire within yourself and that you're able to keep achieving these goals and keep pushing yourself to the limit and keep reaching that ladder. You never want to get stuck at the bottom of the pyramid.
Mhm.
You always want to climb up it.
Yeah.
You know,
You've done found that fire. You've created that spark, and now you're welding.
I'm
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's cool stuff. You have a sense of belonging. You found that sense of belonging while in the program. It
Yeah.
looks, and I can see that. But have grown to a point where you have a sense of belonging within yourself.
Yes.
I think the most beautiful thing that you can see in anyone, and it shows in you, you love yourself again.
Mhm.
I do. I still struggle with it sometimes,
Yeah.
just like everything in recovery. Like if you don't keep maintenance on it, then your old character defects start to show their face again. And I'll be the first one to say that I got so wrapped up in working for others that I started losing myself again.
Yeah.
And that's not okay. That is not okay for me, and it's not okay for my recovery because that is a slippery slope.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
And I think that's why we have such a huge focus in recovery and in social work in general and self-care and how
Yes.
crucial that is to the profession because, I mean, you can't pour from an empty cup. You
Amen.
hear that all the time, but it's so true. Like,
Mhm.
you can't give and give and give when you're being taken from every day. You can't do it.
No.
And a big testament to your recovery that now you have this newfound clarity and these opportunities that you say, okay, I did this. It was great. I gave back even, but now it's time for me to do what I need to do.
Yes.
And that's amazing.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
is a testament to a true story of recovery.
Well, Jess, I'm super excited to see what the future holds for you
Yeah.
as you continue to grow and stuff. You know, we always got your back here.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the first episode.
Woo!
The very first
You
episode.
finally got me here.
Interview number 1 is with Jess. And of course,
Yeah.
Tess is going to be along the way with me here. Shout out to Tess.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a
Still-
problem.
Till next time. Hey, listen, I always want to end with this. If you are a person that is seeking help, that is willing to get help, reach out. You're not alone. There's a whole army out there of folks that you have never met who love you and want to see you succeed. There's resources. 988 Help for West Virginia. Us here at Seed Sower. If you're in Southern West Virginia, if you're in the Beckley area, there's so many different organizations that just are available. Just go talk to somebody, anybody. If you're not willing to talk, that's okay too. But when you're ready, we are here. We'll walk beside you every step of the way. So, in the words of the famous Mike Bones, since we talked about him a little bit today, you're enough.